Salut tout le monde, vous êtes bienvenue sur ma chaîne. Hi everyone, you are welcome to my channel. Today I am very excited because I am going to tell you an exciting story, an exciting case, an exciting situation. Today I'm going to tell you about how I was able to learn French and be able to speak fluently within a period of 2 years without having to pay a penny. I mean a penny. Did you hear that? A penny. No cities paid, no dollars paid, no euros paid, nothing, practically nothing. I was able to learn French on my own. I was able to learn French without paying anything. So if you want to learn French, or if you want to learn any other language but you feel it's expensive, then this video is for you. Perhaps you are going to take some tips of how I was able to do that, things that helped me, some guidance. You can pick one or two tips from how I was able to do it, and then maybe you can apply it to whatever language you also want to learn. Let's talk about my motivation. What actually motivated me to learn French? I think I was just somebody who wanted to learn a second language. I always wished that I would have a second language. So when I was ready to learn a second language, I decided, okay, I think I have to learn the second language. By then I wasn't too sure which language to go for. I just wanted a second language, but I had not decided exactly what language I wanted to learn. So even at a point I was contemplating on learning one of the local languages in Ghana, or the local dialects in Ghana, in addition to the local dialects I speak. So I wanted to pick one of them. I even started, but I realized there were no materials. There weren't enough materials for you to learn on your own. You go to the internet, nobody is teaching them. You find there are books to buy, and it's not translating enough. It's like it's only the language. It's written only in the language, basically for the people who already speak it, and it's difficult to learn in that situation because I'm a beginner. And if anything at all, I should find materials that's just talking about the language and at least translating it until maybe I get to some kind of level. But I wasn't getting such material, so I decided to pause it. And then I was okay until one day I met a friend at a conference. I mean, someone who was a bit kind of educated. She was working with an international organization, and so she could speak French. She understood the importance of having a second language in order to. We had a discussion, and she was like, I think it would be a good idea for you to learn French, because Ghana is a country surrounded by French-speaking countries, and if you are able to learn French, it will give you some opportunities and a whole lot. She told me the benefits I could get if I learned French. I'll be able to get some opportunities that people who could not speak French could do. Even if I didn't want to study and I want to just do business, I was good to go. So that was the motivation and the advice I got from that friend, and I thought it was a good idea because it made sense. I had contemplated on learning French, but I thought, okay, let me learn a local language first, then maybe pick a second language that would go international. When she said that, oh, I was like, yeah, that is it. So there and there I decided that I was going to learn French, and right away I started getting materials for the French. I started downloading YouTube videos, and then I had to research on the strategies that I had to use. I mean, the formats that I was going to use, the areas that's where I should prioritize for me to be able to progress quickly. Through my research, I noted that I had these 4 areas to concentrate on, which was going to give me a good progress. So that was, first of all, my vocabulary. I had to learn some vocabulary, and then I had to develop my listening skills, my pronunciation, and then my abilities to speak. Those were the 4 areas I was going to concentrate on. So I noted them down, and then with the videos that I said I downloaded, I kicked start. So for the first time when I was starting to learn, I didn't give myself a lot of pressure. I used the passive way of learning, which was the first material I used was a YouTube video I downloaded, which was like 1,500 short French phrases. It was like a long video of about 3 to 4 hours, and it was just talking about phrases, short French phrases. It will say it in French and they will translate it in English. So I played this video over and over and over and over again for the next 3 weeks. I was just listening to the video. I had it on my phone, I had it on my laptop. When I'm in my room, I just set the laptop open and I'll just be listening to it without doing any active learning. I wasn't involved, I wasn't giving myself pressure, I was just listening. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, I was listening. When I'm in the bathroom, I had my phone somewhere there listening. So consciously listening within 3 weeks, I could practically just, I had caught most of the words, I had caught most of the phrases, and I could just, once they say the French, avez-vous déjà mangé? I knew that English, I would just translate. So I was speaking it like that. I became familiar with them without actively learning. It was like listening to music. When you listen to some kind of music that you like over and over again, you don't decide to learn it, intentionally decide to study the lyrics or learn it, but automatically after some time, you are able to sing along. So that was how I started. And I was able to familiarize myself with a significant amount of vocabulary, and that was the starting point for me. Then I resorted to conjugation, learning how to conjugate, more verbs, more adverbs. And then I was listening to YouTube videos, like random YouTube videos that I thought would help me. Once I was able to familiarize myself with some phrases and some vocabulary, then I went into drama, watching French comedy and drama. I think there was this video that had drama, it had episodes. So the first drama will maybe talk about a setting in a restaurant where this gentleman will enter. He was a comedian, so it was practically a comedy, and then he would order food and will not be able to pay. It was all in French and it was funny. So it had series, so that they had a scene maybe from the restaurant, they would have a scene from the market to at school, they'll have a scene within the family, they have a scene, different scenarios. And that was a video I jumped onto from here. It was also like the first video. I was listening to it over and over again. I put it in 8. This time around I was a bit conscious, like I was watching it like I was watching TV, or I was watching a movie or some kind of series that I like. And because it was interesting, every episode was kind of something that you looked up to. You were always expectant to listen to or to watch, and it was interesting. Seriously, frankly, I wish I could share that, but I have forgotten. I've forgotten that video. But you can find similar ones on YouTube. Whenever I find it, I will update this video with it. That was it. And I also picked a lot of vocabulary from this video. After this video, I realized that I understood most of the things, like vocabulary related to hospital, vocabulary related to market, to the supermarket, to school, because the comedy played different areas. It played different areas, and some of these common vocabularies were reiterated. So when they want to concentrate on a new word, they will repeat it for you to know that, okay, this is what this means. Everything was in French, but then they will repeat and let you know this is what it means in English. And I watched this for some time. When I had been able to gather a significant amount of phrases and vocabularies, and I could have a general understanding of a sentence or maybe a passage, I jumped onto a French podcast called Trends&Tech. Trends&Tech had the podcast or the app. It had the app and also YouTube, so I could watch the YouTube videos and or use the app. And when using the app, you get the transcription of whatever is being said. It could be a video, it could be an audio, and that also helped because it also started building on my listening skills. If I listen to it and I'm not able to get what the word is, I can go to the transcription and then see exactly what word they meant. If I didn't understand, I will look it up, because I had a dictionary, a French dictionary that you could translate to English on my phone, so I would just look it up. That also went on for some time, and then I jumped onto an app called News in Slow French. News in Slow French, you could find it on the internet, but I think it has an app, but I wasn't using the app, I was just using the internet version, and it also was very helpful. It was generally news, but brought down to the level of A1, B1 for somebody who didn't have a very high level of French to understand. And they had the option to click on words when you didn't understand, and then you have it translated for you, and the news was read slowly so you could understand. And it was also very exciting. It was also very helpful because we were reading the news, getting to know exactly what was happening around the world, and then learning French. I used that app for some time too, until I was able to have a fairly good grip on French, and then I started reading some French materials like the newspapers, working on conjugations, being sure of how to conjugate the different verbs and how to conjugate them. And then I started watching French movies, like real French movies, to see if I could understand. I realized that I wasn't getting everything, but then I watch anyway. If it's exciting, I watch them. I started with the subtitle ones, then gradually I moved to those without subtitles. At this point, I could understand fairly a good amount of the French that was spoken, but then I had problem speaking it. Yeah, so that was where the problem was. I wasn't too confident, especially with the pronunciation. And then boom, I got the opportunity to study abroad. All this while I was applying to study my master's, but I frankly didn't know that I was going to study in France, because the school I applied for was in Belgium, and it was an Erasmus program, and apparently the school would choose for you 2 other schools where you have your exchange done. And fortunately for me, France was part of the countries that I was going to have my exchange programs. And in fact, France was the first country I had to start my program before even moving to my school, the school that I applied to. And I even had to apply for French visa because France was the first country I was going to. So imagine, I got to France at the airport. I had to use some French. That was when my French ability was really put to test. I knew a lot of words, I could understand most of them, but then to be able to speak was a big deal. I could try, I wasn't fluent, but hey, I could put 1 or 2 things together, and I survived. When I go to France, I didn't go as everything was okay. My flight delayed in Ghana, my flight delayed in the transit country. So I go to the airport in Paris, and I missed my bus that I had pre-booked. I had missed my train to the city where I was going to study because my school was not in Paris. And I had to sleep at the airport, so I had to ask questions. I was looking for a hotel that night. They said you have not booked ahead, so you are not going to get a hotel. I mean, I came with problems. I didn't come like with everything okay, and I was forced to speak French. And I was in France, so I had to speak some French, whether I liked it or not. And one thing I noticed about the French people is that even if they understand English, they are not too confident speaking it. Yes, so usually you are forced to speak some French if you know, unless you don't have any French background, you don't understand anything, then probably you can just try and go with whatever English they will understand to work with them, but they are not comfortable with English. Maybe some people might be different, but the people I met, even the people at the airport, I mean, I worked, I put some French together, 1 or 2 French together, and I survived. Yeah! I slept at the airport, and the next day I found my way to my city without any help, by myself. And my French helped me. My little 2x4 French helped me a lot. So I was able to have my studies in France. I really didn't actively learn the French when I went for my program, because I found myself in a class where everybody spoke English, because my program was taught in English and all my mates came from different parts of the world. So we basically spoke English. Our professors spoke English with us, even though they were French. They spoke English with us. So, and I found myself in a Ghanaian community where you speak English or you speak my Ghanaian local dialect. So I wasn't really learning the French actively. Even if you had to go do something, there's always another student who was already in France, who is a Ghanaian, who can go with you, and the person will talk for you and all that. So it was when I left France and moved to Belgium. That was my second country where I had to go study. I went to Belgium, I studied. I went to Czech Republic, I did my term there, and after that I was free to stay anywhere and work on my thesis. and then I decided to go back to France. So that was when I went to fully try to immerse myself in the French culture, try to learn the language, and I was actively involved in it around that time. I was learning, I was reading my material, the newspapers, I was watching videos, I was watching movies, I was listening more, I was going out alone myself and trying to, in French we say, débrouiller tout seul, to try things on my own, to face it. That was it. So that was how I was forced to learn the language. And then another material I discovered at that time was Learn French with Elizabeth. It's also a French channel and it's extremely good. She's so eloquent and she speaks so clearly. She teaches on diverse topics, and she also does the news thing. She'll pick a news, and not just in news, she selected her news based on interesting topics. So you are enjoying the news, enjoying the story, the weird stories and the interesting stories, and you are learning French alongside. She speaks and you understand. She doesn't speak fast. She speaks in a way that learners will be able to learn, and she explains things that are cumbersome or difficult for you to understand. Sometimes they are English subtitles, sometimes they are just French subtitles, but they are always subtitles. And I hooked onto her channel. I liked her so much. I was listening to it and picking vocabularies, improving myself, trying to speak it. And I realized that yeah, I was improving. I could understand more and more of the normal French news, the news that was not meant to teach, the news for any normal French. I realized that I could understand, and I got more and more motivated. Yeah, so I was studying and I decided to write my first French exam, which was the B1 exam. I wrote my B1 exam and I passed. I got like 79 point something. It was almost 80, and that was it. I was so motivated. From there, I discovered materials like Duolingo. It was after that exam before I discovered Duolingo, and Duolingo has also really been of massive help. Till now, I'm still on Duolingo. So at a point, I had to come back home to Ghana because I had finished with my school and everything. I came back to Ghana. And then when I came back to Ghana, because I wasn't getting anybody to speak French with, because I wasn't working in a sector where I was using the French, or in any enterprise where I was using the French, it died. I wasn't actively learning French for about 2 years, and just like 6-7 months ago, I decided I was going to pick it up again. I picked it up, and now I'm actively learning the French. I use Duolingo. I still use Learn French with Elizabeth, and these materials are incredibly doing magic. I've registered for another French exam, which is higher than what I did, and I am going to write it. I'm going to write it very soon. I have French friends now, and I'm able to communicate with them. I would say learning a new language is not easy, especially if you don't find yourself in the environment where the language is spoken. It's not easy. For me, maybe I was lucky, but it still demands a lot of work. At a point, I nearly gave up. I remember one day I saw a friend who could speak French, and I wanted to speak French with him because I was putting in more effort. I was conscious of the fact that I had to practice it to be able to get it. And as soon as I started speaking with him, he was like, I asked why, and he said, your accent. I don't want to speak French with you. Let's speak Chi, or let's speak English. And I was really disappointed. I was like, my accent? Anyway, that didn't bother me. I still moved on because I knew that I was still a work in progress. Even English that I have studied since I was a child in school, if I still wasn't perfect in English, then how then should I be worried about a language that I barely started within like 2 years or 1 year? So I was good. I didn't let that bother me. I continued actively studying French, and now I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still have level B2, and my aim is to get to C2. I'm still working on my French every day. I would say that these are some of the tips that helped me. Comparing myself to other colleagues that I were with in France, I think that my materials and my method have helped me. Even friends that we went to meet there always say that, I stand out. Yeah, that is a motivation for me, and that should also tell you that It's not because I was just in France. That's why I'm able to speak the French, because I was there with people who could not speak till now, or who cannot speak till now. Yeah, so I feel it's the determination, it's the effort, and of course the planning, the consistency. All this come together to make your learning a success. So don't give up. You will certainly get there. You just need to be consistent. You just need to be passionate about what you are doing, because without being passionate, you are definitely going to abandon your French learning progress. I'm going to put the link to all the materials I used in the description of the video. I'll just summarize the materials I used. I used 1,500 short phrases in French. I used Duolingo. I used Learning French with Elizabeth. I used News in Slow French. I used Français Authentic. And I also used newspapers. I learned how to conjugate. I also watched random YouTube videos, especially drama and comedy. Yeah, these are basically the materials I used, and I practiced a lot. I made efforts to practice. Sometimes I just give myself random topic to talk about, and I would just be in my room or standing in front of my mirror, and I'll just be talking. Yeah, it sounds interesting, right? Yeah, but all these are parts of the success story. So don't give up. If you really want to get there, you can get there. It's possible. I didn't pay a dime, I didn't pay a penny, but I've been able to reach this level, all because I was consistent. And I'm still learning French every day. Every day I'm on Duolingo, every day I'm on YouTube, every day I am on something. I want to read, or I'm trying to speak, practice to myself, even if I don't get somebody I'm talking to. And that's the story for me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it will be useful to you, and I hope that you don't give up in your language learning, because at the end it pays off. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified. You can also like and share. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you everyone. Thank you for supporting the channel. Until next time, take care.